Hi, Anna. So you're a postdoctoral researcher at ETH Zurich, which means you did a doctorate and now you're continuing with research. And you're focusing mainly on neuroscience around mathematics, but also dance and music. And I'm very happy to have you here today.
Thank you, Julia, and thank you for the invitation. It's nice to tell a bit about my work. So basically, I have two lines of work. The other one is academic one. So I'm a neuroscientist and I do research at the moment, focusing on higher education. But also before, I was more into like arts and dance and music, how they influence in the brain. And then also on the other side, I'm an entrepreneur. So I have my own company in which I combine neuroscience and kind of creativity and movement in a really concrete way.
Maybe we can start with the academic side. And could you tell us a bit more about your research projects? What are you investigating? What are you trying to find?
So what I've been mainly focusing in my work is how the healthy brain functions. So I'm interested in this kind of like expertise. What if you really dedicate a lot of time to learn certain things? How does your brain function change? So I've been mainly specialized to the brains of dancers, musicians, and now with mathematicians.
What are the most fascinating things you found while exploring those topics?
First of all, that there is a difference in kind of experts' brain compared to novices' brain. And what surprised me, for example, with these professional dancers was that already when the dancers watch dance, their brain reacts differently. So they don't even need to kind of dance themselves, so that there would be some like differences is kind of like fine-tuning the movement or remembering choreography. But already watching a dance performance can activate the expert's brain quite differently. Then on mathematicians, I've been kind of interested in the mental state they go to when they solve mathematical demonstrations. So it looks like they go into this state of kind of like internal concentration. And now I'm kind of hypothesizing further, like could, for example, then meditation enhance this kind of internal concentration, which would then transfer to different kind of cognitive disciplines, such as math learning.
And you mentioned that you're fascinated by brain science and how the brain works. And do you remember what actually got you into that field in the beginning? What made you curious about this?
So I remember after I finished high school, I was wondering like, okay, I've been always really interested in health and maybe movement. And at first I was thinking maybe I should apply to medical school. But then somehow there was still something in the technology, and I've been always quite versatile person. So kind of like dance and painting and sports have played a big role in my life. So I was wondering like maybe I could still combine these like kind of other elements in my work as well. So that's why I chose biomedical engineering. And then obviously when we went through different kind of like imaging methods for kidneys or blood vessels or heartbeat, and then the brain. So somehow the brain was something that really caught my attention.
And I would like to know a bit more what role tech plays in what you do. How does it help neuroscience? Does it help neuroscience? And how important do you think it is in what you do and what you're trying to achieve?
I think the tech is in the core of everything. So obviously, like to do neuroscientific studies, you really need this cutting edge technology. Starting from the collection of the data, so you need these like EEG gaps, and then you also need quite a lot of like programming skills to analyze the data. But I think what I get fascinated about is this interaction of human mind and humanity and the technology. So kind of how can we extract something from this kind of neuroscientific data, which is also relevant from the humane perspective.
So you're doing research around this, and what was your motivation to go into academia and focus on research?
So I think there is in academia, I love this kind of openness for big projects and new ideas, and that you can really kind of develop new theories, and it's not so kind of like quartal like result driven. So sometimes you can really dedicate to a project which takes years. I always say that like with this interest I have right now, I would have research to do for like 7 lifetimes. So there is this kind of like time span. I think in academia it's longer than in, for example, in the startup field, where I'm also involved in. So there we talk about days or hours, and in academia we talk about months or years.
So speaking about startups, you also are leading WiseMotion. And can you tell us a bit more about what it is and how this came about in your life?
So WiseMotion is this method in which I combine creative movement. So we really do like movement exercises. You don't need to be a dancer. You don't need to have any background in any kind of movement. Just interest is more than enough. And then I combine that to neuroscience. So we might have workshops like where we focus on memory and attention. So we do physical practices which enhance the focus and attention. And then I give kind of neuroscientific explanation how the brain works in attention or memory, or it can be creative process, it can be embodied collaboration. So different kind of topics. And actually how WiseMotion started, it was that I was on my last months of my PhD research. And what is reality in academia? Sometimes it's hard to get funding. So I already had this future academic project in mind. I just didn't get funded. And then I also thought that, well, I don't want to be dependent only on these fundings. Like I want to do something kind of something more like self-sustained.
I remember last time we talked about it. You mentioned also that something very important for you is to bring art and tech, or at least STEM, together. And could you tell me a bit more about this? Why is it so important for you to reconnect like art and engineering, mathematics, and all those aspects?
Yeah. I think there is a lot of kind of hidden potential in like artistic perspective. So we tend to get sometimes in the tech world or in STEM that we are very maybe busy and worried of this like cognitive part of us. So we tend to be very much in our heads. And sometimes the solutions come when we actually pull back a bit, when we calm down a bit, and when we kind of actually engage to something else. And so then we manage to find like different kind of perspective, which can be very helpful for the STEM or the tech work, what you're doing. So
what you do is very diverse, right? You're bringing quite different aspects together. And I wanted to know a bit more, what did you study to be where you are today? And if someone would follow your path, what should they focus on right now?
Personally, I did this kind of like more traditional academic path, but already in the academia, I studied in a very versatile way. So as I mentioned, I studied biomedical engineering and neuroscience, but at the same time, I studied the history and culture of Southeast Asia. I studied art theory. I studied art therapy. So what I would encourage is to be curious and really kind of explore different ways of seeing the world and different ways to understand other people and kind of create different kind of like mental patterns or mental structures.
Advice, but I was wondering if you had like one final advice for the young girls and women that are listening to this conversation.
Don't be afraid of technology. So it's like, I often hear actually girls saying this, that, oh, but I don't want to become a programmer. It's like, well, if you're interested in technology, it doesn't mean that you need to do only that. So I think the technology is a really useful tool for many different fields. So even if you're interested, like, I hope I could give some example, even if you're interested in like dance or music or arts, you can still kind of use technology in that. And nowadays, there are like more and more this kind of different kind of technological applications in different fields.
Well, thank you, Anna, for this great advice and also the great conversation. I'm sure it's going to inspire a lot of young women out there.